America's megabanks are having a fantastic banking crisis even as they feast on the corpses of community banks. Last week, J.P. Morgan, America's biggest bank, reported quarterly profits rose 67% on the year to $14.5 billion on just $41 billion in revenue. That's a striking net profit rate of 35%. And for perspective, monopolies like Google or Apple only manage 21 or 25. Meanwhile, Wells Fargo reported a 57% jump in earnings. Bank of America managed 19%, still good for $7.5 billion. And Citi tossed in another $2.9 billion. In all, America's four megabanks cranked out $30 billion in profits on the quarter. Now, this all might stick in the craw of regular Americans who have just paid potentially trillions in pre-bailouts to banks in the form of unlimited FDIC guarantees and the BTFP that lends against fictitious asset prices. Not to mention sweetheart deals on acquisitions. For example, J.P. Morgan got $50 billion in taxpayer money to gobble up First Republic, which has already delivered them $2.7 billion in pure profit. They keep that, along with hundreds of millions in ongoing profits on assets they got for pennies on the dollar. So it is very good to be a megabank. But it's a whole different world in community banks, which are still down 30% since the March crisis, and which the Wall Street Journal worries are due for a 23% drop in profits that could set off yet more depositor flight, hollowing out those smaller banks. So why are the mega banks printing money while the regionals barely hold on? The key is what the Fed's rate hikes are doing to them. For the majors, their depositors are staying put. In fact, they're gobbling up depositors fleeing community banks. That means they can keep paying almost nothing on deposits. J.P. Morgan at the moment is advertising 0.01% on checking accounts. For the median American bank account, that would come to roughly 53 cents in annual interest. But those same higher interest rates mean Morgan can turn around and lend that money for 8.25%, 825 times more. That is the prime rate for best borrowers, and it's up from 3.25 last year. So they give you 53 cents, and then they turn around and lend that same money. Remember, that was your money. They lend that for $437.25. Good work if you can get it. The problem is community banks, alas, are not too big to fail, so they must actually pay depositors. The Journal profiled one Midwest bank who has to pay 6 times more to depositors to keep them. As the CEO put it, quote, "Our raw material costs just went up 600%. Another Montana bank was paying 7 times more than a year ago, but it still lost 7% of its deposits. Across the board, community banks are now paying roughly 100 times more than those pennies Morgan gets away with. So what is next? The number of banks in America has already fallen by half since the 2008 crisis, meaning the too big to fail oligopoly is even bigger and a lot more politically protected. That concentration is likely to accelerate, leaving many communities without hometown banks, the ones who make local investments, replaced by a giant money vortex to New York, at which point the money is lent out to mega corporations or lent overseas, leaving, quote, flyover country effectively strip mined of capital. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.